So me and my brother's like, look, let's go ahead and buy this property. We bought the property, we fixed it up, we rehabbed it, we sold it, made $45,000. We're like, okay, cool. That's way more than what I'm making this whole entire year's salary. Quit the next day. Then I said, you know what? We're going to do real estate full time. Bubble burst, 2008.
I knew the cautionary tale was coming. When you said I made 45, whenever somebody say I made 45K, and whenever they say I made blank and I quit the next day, something bad always happens.
That's right.
Welcome back to another episode of the Traffic Sales and Profit Show. My name is Lamar Tyler. I'm your host. And today's going to be probably one of our most interesting shows. This guy's literally probably the world's most interesting man, right? I got Brad Giles. Brad Giles is a healthcare titan. He's a millionaire mentor. He's an American Ninja warrior, exotic car enthusiast, right? Anything else I'm missing?
Hey man, all the above. I mean, I love doing competitions. I love having fun. I love traveling the world. I love doing everything. Anything that's exciting, I had to be a part of. That's
enjoying life, it sounds like.
You gotta enjoy life, man. That's what we work for. We work hard to enjoy life.
I love it. I love it. Now, I want to talk about, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs that watch or people that want to get into entrepreneurship, right, or build wealth. And entrepreneurship is a great way to build. Is entrepreneurship how you built wealth, or was it something else that segued into it?
I mean, to be honest, yeah, for sure, like entrepreneurship. And I mean, when I grew up, I actually saw my parents like build their own company, and it was actually in technology field. So they had a networking technology company where they had locations, I want to say in Africa, Malaysia, a few different places. And so it took them a long time to literally like build their business from the ground up, which my dad, he used to be a sharecropper. So he had like 10 of his brothers and sisters in like a little shack in South Carolina. And they could only go to school whenever it rained. So they had cotton that literally came up to the really front doorstep of the shack that they lived in. And I'm like, that wasn't even that long ago because my dad's only 69.
Right.
So people still forget that like that was literally just a generation behind us.
Man, listen, I always tell the team is, they like, man, he's about to go in that story again. But I always tell people, literally, like me personally, I can't complain about working hard, bro.
No, you can't.
I'm on a computer. I be on Facebook. Like the majority of my work is in my Facebook group.
Yeah, see?
But like literally when you like one generation ago, my dad was a sharecropper.
Sharecropper, picking cotton,
That's
man.
that work. That's
that
work,
real work. That's like ripping up your hands and your fingertips. You getting thorns, getting stabbed all over the place. I'm like, that's crazy motivation. So when you see people like, you know, be able to go through like those particular conditions and then be able to still create like, you know, their entrepreneurial journey out of that, like you can't help but be inspired by it.
Yeah.
And so my parents, they like, you know, they worked together real close. And, you know, they got into a real bad situation where they had like a crazy divorce, lost the whole entire business. And it was a multimillion-dollar company. And it's rare when you see people during that time, like, you know, be brought up in a multi-million-dollar company to where they see their parents like create that type of business. But a lot of the friends that I had that were in a similar space, they weren't able to replicate what their parents did. Me and my brother, we were like, you know what? I was like, we still gonna go out and get the bag. It don't matter. Like we saw what they were able to do and we learned enough from their mistakes to be able to see what we need to do to course correct to try to make sure that we were able to become successful and not go through like the same obstacles they went through.
Well, that's about to be our next question. Like what did you learn? Because I'm sure you learned from some things that said, hey, you know what? These are things I want to do, things I don't want to do. Like what are any specific lessons that you can think of you learned that you carry into your own business and life?
Well, communication for sure. Because, you know, when you work with your partner, like if y'all aren't on the same page, then y'all could be sitting here battling all day. And I'm like, look, me and my wife work together. So I'm like, look, honey, what's happening? All right, cool. We need to go ahead and do this with this specific case. Cool. Like we have different roles and responsibilities and we don't step on each other's toes because we're doing like different aspects of the business. Like sometimes I think when my mom and dad, they overlap too much and then it would be like who's right and who's wrong when it came to specific aspects of running it. Whereas me and my wife, like we split it up to where like everything that I do doesn't really intersect with what she does, but it still cohesively still works together like as a perfect unit.
Clear delegation of who the roles and who's responsible for what. Ooh,
yes, you have to delegate the roles, man. It's important.
That's good. That's something me and Ronnie, we always talk about. Like that, you got to know, because we always ask the same thing, right? Like, how do you work together? I'm sure, like, how do you work with your
I know y'all get that all the time, too. Yeah,
right? But it's exactly what you said. We say, We have to define strengths and weaknesses.
Yep.
Because people, whether they like to do it, don't like, especially when it's just in the beginning, when it's just y'all,
Yep.
you may not like to do that thing.
Yep.
But if I do it and I crash the whole company, it don't matter, right? You got to do that thing. Or it might be something that you naturally gifted at. It might be something that's what you did in your career, but strengths and weaknesses. Like I said, that clear delegation of roles. Like you said, we feel like that's one of the biggest things. And it got to be like, hey, that's your thing, and I trust you, even though you may do it differently.
Yep. That trust is key.
I trust, and then we also found out. Let me know if this is true, and you see, I see the same thing.
Okay.
The same thing that makes a strong marriage makes a strong business partnership.
Absolutely.
Like you said,
yeah, absolutely. Because they're still interconnected. Yes. Bro, you already know to have a good marriage, you got to communicate. You got to have trust. You know what I mean? You got to be able to have faith in your partner. You got to be able to know that, like, look, they'll be able to get this thing done. They'll be able to take care of this. Like, whatever, like, responsibilities pop up, you just had that faith to know that, like, look, my partner's going to get it done. And even like you said before, with the strengths and weaknesses, I know there was probably roles that you took on at first that you were probably like, damn, you know what? Wifey's actually better at this than I am.
Exactly. Had to let it go.
You know? Yeah, you had to let it go. I had to learn the same thing. I was like,
you got to let that ego.
You got to, because, you know, for me, like, you know, guys, we had that sometimes. We got that little complex. We were like, look, man, nah, babe, you know, I know what I'm doing. I got this all day. You ain't got to do nothing. You can just chill. She was like, nah, babe, you do terrible with the staffing, because I was trying to do staffing at first. And she's like, you hired all these folks, not getting no background checks, not getting no applications filled out, like, not getting nurses.
Free balling out here,
just
Brad.
free balling. Yeah, so I was like, that was just my way of doing it. But when she took over, oh, she was killing. Paperwork on point, everything taken care of. I mean, she was amazing at it. So I was like, you know what? Let me just pass this on along over to her. Like, you can have this, and I'll just, you know, work on whatever else I'm good at, which was basically like, you know, dealing with the finances, dealing with like anything like tech related when it came to, you know, processing claims or working with like, you know, our Medicaid compliance units, whatever. Like, those are the type of things that I would do. And everything involving talking to the families, dealing with staffing, you know, wifey was awesome at it. So.
All right, so that's amazing. I want to talk about the business now, the home healthcare business.
Okay.
Like, how long have you and Chandra been into that? And then how did you even get into that business?
All right. So just like in college, how if you like major in a specific type of field, but when you graduate, you don't do anything like whatever you majored in. That's exactly what happened with this. So me and my brother were doing real estate at first. And we started doing it because we were working on 9-to-5 jobs, whatever. I was in my cubicle spinning around. And I was like, man, I can't do this cubicle 9-to-5 anymore, man. Like, I just can't. And I knew I had to figure out a way to become an entrepreneur outside of like, you know, just being a bill point auditor. So like, we found a deal. The real estate deal was like super, super cheap. It was like a property that was selling in my neighborhood for like $50,000 less than the one I lived in. So me and my brother's like, look, let's go ahead and buy this property. We bought the property, we fixed it up, we rehabbed it, we sold it, made $45,000. We're like, okay, cool. That's way more than what I'm making this whole entire year's salary. Quit the next day. Then I said, you know what? We're going to do real estate full time. Bubble burst, 2008.
I knew the cautionary tale was coming. When you said I made 45, whenever somebody say I made 45K, and whenever they say I made blank and I quit the next day, something bad always happens.
That's what happened. So we was like, yeah, we about to be out here flipping these houses. We about to be doing these deals. And all of a sudden, nope, that did not work out. So all the houses were going down the toilet. The whole mortgage crisis happened. And so we were trying to figure out what we need to do, because we actually had started building houses. So we was like, yeah, we gonna build some new houses from the ground up. We gonna be fresh with it. Man, those houses could not sell. So I put the homes up for sale on a whole bunch of different outlets. It wasn't selling. So then I decided to put them for rent on Craigslist. Somebody sent me a message on Craigslist saying, you know what? You could turn these into personal care homes. You can get $5,000 a month per person in the home, up to like, you know, 5 people. That's $20,000 a month. I said, I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense. But I was taking care of my granddad at the time too, who had passed away from cancer. And I was literally like, you know, kind of his caretaker, being there for him for whatever he needed. And I actually liked that. I resonated with like the whole caretaking aspect. So once, you know, they hit me up about it, they were like, yeah, we can get you approved to become a home healthcare provider. I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and do that. So it took about 2.5 years to get approved for the services. So back then it was like a long, long, long time. And during that time, I had to figure out how to pay the bills. So I quit my job. So, you know what I'm saying? I had nothing coming in. So I would buy HDMI cables online, because back then people were just getting flat screen TVs.
Yep.
I bought HDMI cables from China for like 99 cents. I sat outside the front of the Target selling the bad boy for $20 a pop. Like, hey guys, HDMI cables, come on over here, HDMI cables. Whatever made it work, I was gonna do what I needed to just weather the storm all the way until I got to the point to where we got approved. Once we got approved, I went from one home to about 12 homes, and we just started expanding like all over like Georgia. Like we were going from county to county to county. With that particular business, we did extremely well because we actually had physical personal care homes, which is also called assisted living facilities. And we had people living in those homes, and we're giving them all the type of care they needed, from bathing, grooming, transfer assistance, whatever they needed medically, we were taking care of that.
Now, who were the people living in these homes? Were they just seniors? Were they
Special needs.
young people, special needs? Okay.
Yep. So anybody who was classified as MR or had developmental disability, we actually had them in the homes. But then we realized that it was so much overhead trying to deal with the homes, and there were so many different crazy regulations that like the state was trying to do that we just couldn't deal with anymore. So I'm gonna tell you something I never told anybody else.
Okay.
This is crazy. So the thing is, the state was actually trying to shut down all the home healthcare providers that were smaller because they wanted to give the business to like the larger companies. And so all the multi-million dollar huge facilities, they were taking all the business from us smaller providers. And I'm like, there's like 250 of us, man, who were just getting slammed. And so all of our homes were being closed left and right, left and right, left and right. So I was like, you know what? I'm smart. I'm a techie. I got to find out a way to be able to get around this because they came at us so hard. We literally had 12 homes all the way down to one. So they were shutting everything down. So I was like, dang, man, like we were doing so well. I was so happy about our entrepreneurial journey, and we got to the top. But anytime you get to the very, very top, you can get knocked back down. But the question is, are you going to stay there? Or are you going to find a way to recover? So I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? There's a way out of this. So I created what was called the Provider Alliance Network. Didn't exist, but it was a way for me to tell the state.
It sounds official. It sounds official, right? I'm going to let you know that.
So I was like, I need to find a way to be able to get out of the whole closures that they're doing with all these providers who are basically like running really great businesses, but they want to give all the money to the larger companies. So when I created the Provider Alliance unit, I sent it out to all the providers in the state of Georgia. Then I sent it out to the mayor. I sent it out to the congressman. I sent it out to everybody. And I tied them all in the same email. And I was saying that they are illegitimately shutting down all these smaller providers all over Georgia when they've been doing the things that they need to do, providing amazing care, providing excellent service, but they still want to give the business to the larger guys. As soon as that hit, they stopped all closures.
Wow.
All closures stopped.
And y'all were probably providing better service than the big boys do anyway.
Way better, because we're more personable.
Exactly.
Because the big boys, they ain't gonna pick up the phone. Like you call them, they're like, oh, I got a 1-800 number. It's gonna go to this voicemail, transfer to this person, whatever. With us, we're talking to you directly. You know what I mean? All the smaller providers are gonna get you on the phone, everything else. So I basically let them know, look, there's a class action lawsuit that's coming, and we're gonna come after the state with all these providers. And all the providers looking at it, they're like, damn. What I did not know is that all those smaller providers started sending me messages, and they're like, yeah, they try to close me down from this. Oh yeah, like this particular inspector came in and tried to close me down for this. So I got all these stories in, and I didn't even realize it was going to be that many people responding to my message of something that didn't even exist. And they were letting me know that like these things were happening. So then I copy and pasted every scenario, resent it out again. A real class action lawsuit happened. I had nothing to do with it.
You spoke it into existence.
Spoke it into existence. But it was cool because it saved all the other providers. Until this day, nobody knows who did that. But that was so long ago, I can tell people now. So look, it was me. You caught me red-handed. But the good thing is it saved a lot of providers. And then we figured we wanted to start switching our services over to home healthcare, because then it would be able to help people who actually didn't want to go to a facility, didn't want to be in a personal care home. We could send the nurses to your home. So then you could just stay at the comfort of your own place, and then we'll just send, a CNA there, or a PCA, which is a certified nursing assistant, or a personal care assistant, or like a registered nurse to be able to take care of your medical needs in the comfort of your own home. And so once we did that, we expanded, and now we got over 200 employees, one of the largest agencies in Georgia, service over 400 families. We're in 12 different counties. So we just blew it out the water. And it's been a crazy, amazing journey.
And how long, when did you first start?
That was 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was back in.
So that's not even a long period of time.
It really isn't. No, it's not too long, because we had to figure out how we're going to pivot. And matter of fact, I think that was probably by the end of, we're in 2023 now. So yeah, it was like right around 2016, I want to say. Yeah, that's right when we started, it was 2016.
I love it. So let me ask you this, right? This is good. In growing that large, in what, like I said, relatively a short amount of time, me and Ronnie, we did a episode of the show recently, and we were talking about risk. And we were talking about, to grow a sizable company, you have to take risk. And one of the things is, like, for people, even they get to like $1 million a year in revenue, what stops them from jumping further than that is oftentimes like lack of risk. So when you tell me 200 employees, the first thing I think about is, wow, like even that's a mindset shift for a lot of people to go from, hey, it's just us to, hey, you can have like a handful of people.
Mm-hmm.
But 200, right? Like what are some of the risks that, and you may not, I don't know if you consider that a risk or not, what's some of the risks you guys had to take in order to grow to that size?
To me, my risk was I didn't want to go back to my work, to go back to a 9 to 5. I was like, I can't do it because I failed so many times. But we still were able to course correct and readjust like our strategies to be able to find a way to get out of that situation and become successful again. And I think that's one of like the hardest parts that people like may lose sight of, is that you could still find a way to bring yourself out of whatever that situation is that created the other situation to fail, but then like learn from those experiences to make sure that the next situation, if it succeeds. And so with this, like our main risk was because even the director of Medicaid, they came up to us and told us like, yeah, now that y'all starting these new services, you guys will probably be okay with like 1 or 2 people. And you're not going to be really that financially successful because it's not really that type of business. You take care of people, but it's not for you guys to become millionaires or whatever, right? Me and Trana looked at each other. We're like, they don't know about me and Trana. Like, and so within the first 6 months, we became a multi-million-dollar company. Like we literally got all the clients. I think we got like 30 clients within the first 6 months.
Wow.
And then after that, we just started expanding like crazy, just making contacts. And then the director was like, how did these folks grow to this multi-million-dollar company? Like,
so believing in yourself, regardless of what the naysayers around you say, having your own vision and your own plan and being able to execute them.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like we only the only competition we saw was ourselves, because the director was like, oh no, there's a lot of other companies, a lot of competition. Like, no, there's no other competition. We're our own competition because we're going to put our own barriers in our way. We're the only ones who are going to say, I can or I can't do this. Because whether you can or you can't, you're absolutely right. We already know that we can do whatever we set our minds to. We just have to make sure that we continue to execute and just put all of our energy towards making sure that it's successful, So, and that's all we did. And so we would look at each other like, hey man, we got this. And so we would just make our contacts. We would go from hospital to hospital, talk to different doctors' offices. And after that, we just blew it up. Like it just went crazy. And then after that, we started showing some of our other friends, because we had other friends who were like, we want to be able to create our own healthcare company. So we started teaching them how to do it. So then our first few friends who we taught how to do it, they all became $1 million companies in the first year. So we were like, dang, everybody's become $1 million company. Like, this is cool. So then people online started sending us messages saying, can you guys come up with a mentorship program? And started just saying like, look, we want you to teach us. And I'd never, ever thought about teaching anything. I was like, nah, like we're good. Like me and Trana like, no, we got a lot of staff. We got a lot of clients. We got a lot to deal with. We can't teach. But then it got to the point where it's like, we need to be able to give back to our people so that they can have like a means of success for themselves. And then at the same time, that's still going to help even more people, because there's so many individuals, because we deal with pediatrics, and there's so many kids who are like wheelchair bound, who have like cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, hydrocephalus, that need this type of assistance in the home, but have never had it before. And that was so key about this business, is that there was thousands of people who needed this service, but just didn't even know that it existed. And that's another reason why we scale so fast, is because we're going to talk to these families directly, which Medicaid ain't gonna call you up on the phone and say, hey, it's Medicaid. Won't let you know you're covered for these particular services.
Right.
Medicaid don't want you to know nothing, because that's more money coming out the budget.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we had to be the ones to kind of go out there and just educate people on what's going on as far as like those services. And then once we did that, boy, families talking to other families, to other families. Like, man, do you realize we have a medically trained babysitter in our home for 30 to 40 hours a week?
Wow.
So we're getting people like literally like a trained aide there for 6 to 8 hours a day. That's a huge game changer, because imagine taking care of somebody who's wheelchair bound, but you have no reprieve, right?
That's I was thinking, like that's a huge change. Like I said, not just to the person, but just quality of life for all the people around them.
Exactly. Because we had family members who had never been like to a spa appointment, never been able to go to the grocery store, never been on a date with their spouse. We even had couples who were literally about to go through divorce. And when we came in with our services, literally brought the family back together again, because they finally were able to take breaks. Because you know how they say it takes like, a village to raise a child?
Exactly.
It takes like a whole state to raise a special needs child. Like special needs child is like leaps and bounds, like so much more work, so much more effort, so many things you have to do. Just to go to the store, if you wheelchair bound, you got to get that van ready. You got to get them up in the stander. You got to transfer them to the wheelchair. You got to get on the lift machine, put them in there, get them strapped in, do all that when you have to take them back off to go into the store and push them around. so much, just to do simple tasks that we do every single day. Don't even think about it. It takes us 10 minutes. That might take them almost 2 hours just to prepare for it. So it was a huge game changer. And at that point, that's when we're like, you know what? Like there's thousands of people who need this service. So we're going to start teaching all the other people who want to get into this field how to do it. They don't have to have any experience, because me and Trana sure didn't. We didn't know what we were doing at first. we were just learning and researching and just finding the information as it came along. And then we became experts as we started working the business. And now we can tell you anything. It doesn't matter. Any medical terminology, anything regarding nursing assistants, whatever, we know like the back of our hand. And we teach it to people in a way to where they can understand it at a real fundamental level, to where they can literally absorb it and do the same thing that we've been doing. And so
I love it. I love it.
So it's amazing to be able to help people see their own dreams becoming home healthcare providers, and everybody's becoming extremely successful, because now we have $12 million companies we created at this point.
Wow.
And we got about 70 other mentees that have come into our program that we want to work on getting all of them to be $1 million companies, because they can. Literally the market's there, all the clients are there. Every last one of them can be multi-million-dollar companies. So our goal is to get all of them to that point. And then once we get to 100, I don't know.
We got that far yet.
We may have to stop and be like, look, we did what we needed to do, and we'll pass it on to the other companies who we helped, and then kind of let them branch out and start teaching from that point. Because our schedules may get so crazy with everything else that we have going on that we'll just have to see. But
that's good. All right, so I got a bunch of questions based off of what you just said.
Okay.
But first, I want to go back. 200 plus employees, right? We have people that either have team or need to build team. What would you say are a few of the biggest lessons you've? Because no way you grown that many employees without learning some lessons around team and leadership along the way.
Man, you got people talking about, oh, my flat tire happened, I can't go into work. Oh, I had this situation with rent and I got kicked out, so I can't come in. You get so many excuses that it's crazy. You start understanding the dynamics of the different excuses and figure out which ones are real and which ones are fabricated. So, we've learned a whole lot. But another thing that we did was we hired a virtual assistant to help us manage all those staff, because we were able to do it ourselves. Me and Trana got up to about 90 something staff by the time we're like, you know what, we need to start bringing in some other help to be able to kind of assist us with it. The good thing is technology is amazing. Now we have a whole entire platform where you can actually see all of your staff clocking in and clocking out. It's all digital. The software makes sure that you can see all your shifts in real time. And we have a virtual assistant that's actually managing the application of those shifts. So if they need to pull somebody off the schedule, they can. If they need to add somebody to a shift, they can. If somebody didn't show up for work, they can go ahead and pull it and say, don't bill this for Medicaid, so you don't have any issues. So it's automated a lot of our business to where it's easy to manage all those people, and then we can send out notifications to all of them through the app on their phone.
Nice.
So that makes it
built the system. You got
the systems in place,
you had
brother.
To move outside of just what y'all can do in the system.
Absolutely. So,
I love it.
And we teach other people how to use that system too, because now it'll run your business for you.
Nice.
And you don't have to be as hands-on. So people don't have to go through the struggles that me and Tron had to go through.
But even that is important, because I tell people all the time, for us to grow our business, always say in the beginning, it took probably 4 years longer than it needed to take for us to get, because we were figuring out everything on our own. And that's the importance of, like you said, getting with somebody that's already been further down the path, getting with a mentor. Now, whenever I'm going into something new, people are like, what's the first step? The first step, I'm trying to find somebody that's already doing it and say, how much can I pay you to learn what you know, right? And get further down the path, because I don't want to learn anything from scratch anymore. Yeah,
because it takes too much time and it takes too much energy. And the amount of time that it takes to try to go through that whole process and reinvent the wheel, it's not worth it, because the money that you thought you saved is money that was lost that you could have made. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's look, just get to the bag, man, because at the end of the day, you're going to still kill it. You're going to crush it. And then you'll do it better, because then you learn all the mistakes. You learn from all the pitfalls. Because like I was saying before, it took us almost 2.5 to 3 years to get approved at first. I'm we're getting people approved in 6 months. So they get approved in a third of the time.
You know the process, right?
You know the process.
Take step 1, step 2, step 3, instead of wasting time. For one, most people won't waste time just researching stuff to death. Then after they research stuff to death, they're going to go, but they're going to go slow. So you basically get them the fast. I tell people all the time, there is a shortcut to business, and the shortcut to business is getting with people like yourself that already had the answers so you can get there. I love it. So let me ask you this. Because I know somebody may be watching saying, this sounds like an interesting business model. What are some of the biggest misconceptions you think people have, when they look at, say, okay, could I do that? Well, I'm not sure, right? Like what's some of the things you hear come up a
Oh,
lot?
the biggest thing is, do you have to have medical experience? Because everyone's like, dang, do I have to be a nurse? Do I have to be a physician? Anything like that?
Right.
You don't have to have none of that experience, because I ain't had none of that experience. Look, hell, I was an auditor. And I went to Georgia Tech for computer science. So, I mean, I was just a computer nerd. But no experience required. You don't have to have any kind of medical background. And everything is like really easy to learn as far as like just understanding how the business works. It's just taking the time just to learn it. But then on top of that, like when it comes to staffing, that might be like the biggest challenge that people will have when they first start, because staffing can always be like, real interesting based off of what side of town somebody lives in. If somebody's like 50 miles outside the city, you don't have as many people out there.
Yeah.
Just what it is. And so it may take longer to staff that particular situation than somebody who's in Atlanta where there's like a bunch of staff to choose from. So those might be the only like, main hiccups. But the thing I like about it the most is that you just don't have any overhead. This is literally like a zero overhead business. When we started this, me and my wife only had $120.
Wow.
100. So basically, I went into bankruptcy. House went into foreclosure. Car was being repossessed. Had to hide it behind a dumpster. Literally heard the tow truck coming every single night at 2:00 in the morning. I heard beep, beep. I was like, "Oh, he's coming, baby."
Was you looking out the blind?
I'm looking at the blinds. Like, beep. I was looking straight through the blinds, and I'm just like, "That's rock bottom, man. When you don't have your house, when you're in bankruptcy, when you lose your car, couldn't even afford McDonald's. I'll swipe my card, get declined." I'm like, dang, this sucks. But then like being able to get into healthcare and for it to be able to bring everything back full circle and to still be able to accomplish what I wanted to, a lot of people would have quit and they would have been like, oh, I'm going back to work. Like, I got to find a way to get a job. My mom kept telling me to do that too. Mom's like, you need to go get a job because right now you a bum. You sitting over here trying to do this. I'm like, Mom, look, I'm going to work it out. Things are going to work out. Have faith in me. Have faith in your boy. But, sometimes not everybody's going to see your vision.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's cool. I mean, I understand that. But you have to still just believe that you're going to make it work out. And then the thing is, like, I always am a big proponent about affirmations and law of attraction. Me and my wife, when we do like, our readings every single morning, we wake up, do positive affirmations, and that just reaffirms like what we already want to accomplish. And we know for a fact that we can make that happen because we want to keep our mind and our energy focused on that. And a lot of people don't realize how important energy is because you can put yourself in a pit, especially after going through all that stuff and saying, look, man, there's no way out. Like, I'm screwed. Like, I got no money. I got no anything. But the thing is, you still say that you're in a state of prosperity. You're still in a state of abundance. Because even if you don't have it then, you're mentally healthy enough to create it. Yeah. So you just got to be a creation of what you want to manifest. That's it.
I love it. I love it, man. That reminds me, it makes me think about, it's like two things I always focus on. One is just gratitude.
Yep. See?
You know what I mean? Because it's just, no matter what situation you're in, there are levels of gratitude, there are levels of things to be, have gratitude towards if you think about it correctly.
Yep.
And then the other thing is that the same things that hold people back from not doing things are the same things that propel somebody else.
Yep.
So the person that says like, hey, you know what? I can't build this business because I got 4 kids. The next person says, I got to build this business because I got 4 kids. Well, I can't do this because I'm the caregiver for my mom. Somebody else says, I got to do this because I'm the caregiver for my mom and I need to be able to provide a better life, more help. I need more money to do these things. So like so much of it is mindset and belief and that mental part of it is big.
It is, and we see it in real time, right? So I'm gonna give you 3 examples of some people who we actually brought into the program, became $1 million companies. One is a lady who was actually like a telecommunications professional. She was like making $12 an hour. And the thing is, she was like, oh no, I got to keep my job doing this, while she had already went through our program and had established her home healthcare business. We was like, look, let me tell you something. That $12 an hour that you're making right now has nothing compared to the amount of time you would spend building your own business. If you put all that effort and energy to that $12 an hour job and put it towards your own business, you're going to blow it up. She's $1 million company now. And that happened actually last year. Then we got to fast forward. We got another person who actually worked at a bank, and he was basically one of the directors of I think SunTrust Bank, and basically he was making over $200K a year. He's one of those guys where he was making so much money because he's in the high 6-figure range. He was like, well, I don't really necessarily need, to create my own business because it's not really necessary. A lot of people aspire for like, the 6-figure job, right? It's like, oh yeah, that's where it's at. But the thing is, you don't have your time. You don't have access to being able to control your own destiny. You don't know when you can get fired at any time because nothing is actually guaranteed. A lot of people are like, oh no, I need security. And they think a job is security. Now, me and you both know there's no job on this planet that's secure. I mean, hell, the company could go under the next day. It could be a situation where it just blows up, or like, there might not be a demand for the product anymore. I mean, it could just evaporate overnight.
The market could shift. I work for a telecom company. I got an IT background. I work for a telecom company. and they were like rolling at one
Mm-hmm.
point, right? It's like they had so much money, they didn't know what to do with the money. It just
Yep.
be like somebody told me, like, yeah, I went to the office out in Herndon, and it just was like TVs and boxes, like sitting all over the like flat screen TVs
Yep.
sitting
See, I
all
already
over the,
know.
and it just is all of this. And then, like you said, the market shifted, the bottom dropped out of the telecom industry, and we all got laid off. If you're a 6 or 7-figure entrepreneur, a black business owner, and you don't know where to go, if you feel like you're alone, if you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to that gets how you feel or gets the pressures of being a business owner in today's climate, guess what we do? I want to introduce you to the Traffic Sales and Profit Mastermind. Now, in the TSP Mastermind, we have a 12-month program that's going to help you reach your next 6, 7, or 8 figures in business over the course of a year. Now, along that year, we have one-on-one coaching, we have accountability, we have community, we have live events, and everything you need in order to reach the next level. For more information, visit us at www.trafficsalesandprofit.com.
Yeah, and nobody ever thought it was going to happen. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They were like, no,
That's the
we didn't
thing.
see that coming. Shit, we got billions of dollars in the bank. There's no way. Same thing like with Enron, like any of the really large and FTX that just happened.
Right.
You know, folks was like, oh, no, we got billions of dollars in crypto. Where is it now? You know, like there's just so many scenarios where anything could happen. But I mean, if I'm going to bet anybody, I'd rather bet on myself. You know, so I mean, like rather than trying to say, okay, I'm gonna work for this person, that person, if I put all this energy into building up my own company, then 9 times out of 10, like it's gonna be successful because I'm taking all that energy that I put into focusing on this, which is a lot of time because it takes a lot of energy to work for other people, a whole lot. And so once you transpose that onto your own product, it's insane. Like you just grow by leaps and bounds. So with him, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna take some time to build my business. Did it part-time while he was working at the bank. And then after that, got to the point to where he was making $600,000 a year with his home healthcare business, quit his job at the bank. His director said, wait, why are you quitting this job? Like, bro, do you realize, he from Morehouse too. And the other guy like worked from Morehouse. He's like, do you realize that you have a 6-figure job that's paying you 200,000? Do you know how many people on this planet would love to be in your position making $200,000 a year? He's like, yeah, but I'm starting to make that like a month now. So it's a whole nother conversation. But other people wouldn't understand it because that's not their journey. They don't understand what it's like to once you actually like, you know, elevate your experience to a whole nother plane of existence. When you do become an entrepreneur, like everything changes. Like everything changes. And you see things differently. Your perspective is different. So now he's a multi-million-dollar company, and he actually pivoted to the point to where he created his own COVID testing center. So he used his home healthcare license to do COVID testing. So once the whole COVID thing had happened and 2020 happened, he had contracts with all the major HBCUs. It was destroying the game, like killing it. It was something we never thought of, but he elevated it from his own experience.
Exactly.
He was like, he took what we taught him and then decided to go ahead and just elevate it to what he thought will work best for him. And he was like, damn, you know what? I can get these contracts to do COVID testing, and literally became one of the largest COVID testing centers in Atlanta.
But even that's a
Yeah.
nugget, because I feel like so many times people don't want to learn from other people. I've literally heard people say, I don't want to learn from nobody else because I want to do it my way. Nah, learn from somebody else, get the base,
Yep.
and then do it your way. So your way is going from step 10 to 15, not from 0 to 10.
Exactly.
When somebody already figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It doesn't have to be the exact same journey that we teach you. Because we may teach you one specific way, but you might be like, oh, well, that way is cool, but I've learned that this way might work for me better because everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. And so like you see what works best for you, and you can still basically take like all these different parts of the different things that we taught you and then pretty much use it the way that works best for your particular experience. And then when that happens, then they can create a whole nother situation that we never even thought of. And that's what happened with him, with the COVID testing centers. We was like, bro, awesome.
I love it. Let me one more question about this. So if someone's watching, say, okay, I'm interested in this. All right, you know, the things I was thinking, he kind of went through them. Like when they think how much money is this, like you said you had like only $120.
Oh yeah.
Like how much money do people think like, okay, I gotta have thousands of dollars to get started. Is that true?
All right, so definitely not true. So when I was telling you about the $120 that it took for us to start it, literally me and wifey had a poster board that we bought from Walmart. And what we did was we took like little finger paint and we put little handprints all over it. Didn't even have font or any of that stuff. No printouts, no nothing. Let's just finger paint this thing. Took that to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. We went to Scottish Rite, went to Eggleston. Like, yeah, set up a little booth, you know what I mean? Looks all nice and artsy, like, you know, a little kid was painting this and playing with it. Just started making contacts. Didn't have a website. didn't have any business cards. We didn't have none of that. All we had was just that poster board.
So you mean you get started without the perfect website?
We had zero website.
Without the perfect font.
Without none
you
of
ain't got to be a Canva expert.
You ain't got to be none of that. Because folks to this day, they're just like, bro, you didn't even have no cars, no website, no none of that stuff. Become $1 million company. Like, no, we had none of that. We had one brochure and that little janky poster board. And we went out there, we started talking to people, became $1 million company just with that. It was nothing. Went on Vistaprints, and like I said, it was $120. And so that's what I love about this business, because like I said, you don't have the overhead like that because you're essentially a staffing agency. So when you're sending clients out to a person's home, all you're doing is you're making the contacts. You find a family who needs assistance. When that family says they need assistance, you do an intake packet. Once you get them approved for the amount of hours that Medicaid says they can pay, then you find a staff to be able to service that case. So the only time and money that you're spending is just being able to go on Indeed and do a post to be able to find what staff member can actually take that case. That's all you're doing. You're just staffing the case. So it's zero overhead. You can run it from your house. We ran it from our house for over 7 years. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need no office space. You don't need none of that.
I love it. I love it. Now, let me ask you this, right? Because I know you love to experience life.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, the company has allowed you to feel and experience life, from being a car enthusiast to, you know, I know you and Tron love to travel.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite spot to travel to right now?
I love Tokyo, Japan, man.
I've always wanted to go to. I haven't been to Tokyo. You confirmed what I already knew. Like, it felt like a vibe. Whenever I see it, it feels like I need to be in Tokyo. I haven't made it there yet.
Dude, Tokyo is one of the most advanced places on the planet. Like, they have stuff that we never even. I mean, you know, when you used to have, like, you know, the Apple Watches and the smartphone devices. I remember when I first went out there, before that was even invented, they had all that stuff there. Like, they had like little devices before Siri was invented. They were talking to like devices in their phones and their hands or whatever. And so I'm just like, the culture is so different, but I love anime. I'm an anime nerd. You know, I love video games. There's an arcade on every single block in Tokyo. Every block, and they're like 8 stories tall, because it's basically a huge New York. It's like New York times 6. So just their culture, their customs, like, you know, the food is incredible. Like, people are just super humble, you know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know, I just love that whole, like, the way their technology works, the way that they love anime, like everything that I like, they love. And then also Cape Town, South Africa. So between those two, those are like my number one favorite places, because, you know, I love being around our people and going on safaris out there. I've pet lions in real life and didn't get eaten. And I'm just like, that's a crazy experience. When you're out there on the live, and when you're out there on safari and you have a real life lion in front of you, and it's a big, huge, like Mufasa. I'm talking about like Mufasa with the full mane and everything. And you out there petting them. And he's looking at you. You're just like, don't eat me. Don't eat me. Don't eat me. And like, they literally just allow you to do that. It's just, there's no other experience like it. You know what I mean? It almost feels like you just have a state of enlightenment. And then like Cape Town's cool because it's almost like, you know, African version of Miami, but it's like nicer than like any Miami beach you would ever see, because it's beautiful with the sunset, with the coast. And then when you go down to the Cape of Good Hope, that's where like the two oceans collide together. So you have hot water, you got cold water, and it makes like this huge like oasis of like a waterfall splash where they hit and connect. And you got all the penguins out there like just walking around clapping, like, oh my gosh, like, we watch this every day. So it's just cool, man. Those are some of my most favorite places for sure. And Dubai, I mean, you know, Dubai is always a vibe. Like, I love Dubai too. It's just, you go sand surfing, ain't nothing like taking that all-terrain vehicle off there and just going down the desert, just surfing. It's just, so much fun.
I love it. I love it. Now, you also got a chance to compete on American Ninja Warrior.
Yes, go, baby. American Ninja Warrior. Let me tell you something. I have been wanting to be on that show for 15 years.
Wow.
I had been watching it when it was on a network called G4 before it was even like on NBC. Yeah. And so all the people I used to watch on that show, I used to be like, dang, man, I really want to do this show. So we had did a giveaway back where we had shut down like a Kroger grocery store with like, you know, Alex Good Energy, Neo DeViso, him 500, like all of us entrepreneurs all came together, had a blast, like Zoe the Goat, Mary, Skittles. So we all went out there. And after that happened, you know, went viral all over MSNBC, Fox News, whatever. One of the guys from Ninja Warrior said, look, I got a gym, man. Like, I got a ninja gym. Not sure if you're in a Ninja Warrior, but I got a really dope gym. Why don't you check it out?
You was like, not sure.
I said, what? I said, Ninja gym? I said, I'm going to be there tomorrow. So I went to his gym, and Trina was with me. She was recording me do all the obstacles. I was able to do all the obstacles on the first try. So I was like, yeah, I got this. I got all these obstacles. I'm killing it. And so Glenn, he's the guy who owns the gym, and he's super cool. He's been on like the show probably about 6 or 7 times now.
Wow.
He was like, bro, you can apply for the show, but the only problem is today is the deadline, so you're not gonna make it, but you can do it next year. I was like, no, I'm gonna be on the show this year. I'm gonna do my application tonight. He was like, but the expiration is at 2:00 in the morning. I was like, okay, I'm still gonna get it in. So I went back to the house. All the footage that my wife had done to me doing the obstacle the first try, I uploaded all that stuff in the computer. And I'm sorry, the deadline was 3:00. So I literally got all that done with my application at 2:58 a.m., 2 minutes to spare. And then I was like, okay, cool. I was like, my application in. So all the other people I knew who were in Ninja Warrior, they were like, yeah, we got all of our calls saying they were going to be on the show. And I didn't get my call yet. I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get my call. It's like, how do you know? I was like, bro, I manifest whatever I want. I know for a fact I'm going to get the call. It's like, but bro, you don't know that. I was like, trust me, I know. So like all the time went by, was approaching February because we had applied back in December and they weren't supposed to be doing any more calls after mid-February. I'm at Lamborghini rally. There's 80 Lamborghinis. We're all going 200 to 180 miles an hour, going up 75 because that's like our final rally. We go from Miami to Naples and everybody's just gunning like, yeah. So we all running. I'm getting a call from Ninja Warrior while we're on the freeway in the Lambo rally. I didn't even know Ninja Warrior was calling me. So we're running up the street going crazy fast, got helicopters on top of us, all that stuff, just like doing the filming. When we got to Naples, I was like, bro, because I had my brother with me. Bro, Ninja Warrior called me. He was like, what? I called him back. He was like, bro, how'd you miss our call? Like, this Ninja Warrior wanted to tell you want to be on the show. I was like, man, I was at Lamborghini rally going like 180 miles an hour down the freeway. That's why I missed your call. I was like, bro, that's crazy. That's another reason why we want you on the show, because you got a crazy life. And so then after that, that was it. And I told my other friends, I was like, look, bro, I'm on the show. Went all the way to semifinals, only 3 weeks of training.
Wow.
They're like, bro, how the heck are you getting to semifinals when these people have been training for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, but you go into semifinals beating all them? I was like, law of attraction. I tell y'all all the time, this manifestation.
It all go back to the same thing, right?
It goes back to the same thing. I tell people, like, what you manifest, so what you think, what your thoughts like, produce, they're all important, and they allow you to be able to, experience the things that you want to, because you're telling your mind that it's going to happen. And so that's why I went to semifinals 2 years in a row now. This year, well, should I say last year, because we're in 23 now. But last year and the year before that, those are my only 2 years I've ever done it. And I'm going to do it this year coming up too. But went to semifinals both times, and it literally got to meet all the same people that I was fans of from 15 years ago. It's like, oh, that's my boy Flip. Oh, that's my boy, freaking Jason Rodriguez. I'm like, oh man, like all the people that I really, really liked, I got to meet them in person. It was super cool. Like, so I was like, I got to do it every year.
I want to ask you this. What has entrepreneurship provided for you that you love the most?
Freedom. Freedom to do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do. My mom used to get mad at me because I would wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon every day. Till this day, I still wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. You can't be successful. You can't have $1 million company. Mom, till this day, I still wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I go to bed around 3 to 4. Exactly. I go to bed at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm playing Call of Duty till like maybe 3 or whatever. Then I'm watching anime with wifey till like about like 1 or 2. And that's just my time to be able to have fun, do the things I want to do, because everything else during the day, I'm just doing whatever. But I always have the freedom and flexibility to do what we want. Even when we're working, we can still travel. We can go out the country. As long as we have access to a computer and internet, we can still check in with staff. You know what I mean? Yeah. We can still look at who's on the schedules. We can do all that stuff. No matter where we are. I will always do my Medicaid billing. We could be like in Europe somewhere, and I know that I got a bill on Thursdays. I go in there, knock it on out. It only take me about like, hour and a half, 2 hours to do it. Then we back at it again, doing an excursion, So, and then wifey, she'd be on the phone talking to like, different staff members, trying to make sure they going to their particular schedule. But we can still do our business, still have fun, and don't necessarily have to be in Atlanta to do it. And that's the freedom. That's the flexibility. Like you can be anywhere you want to be, wherever you want to be, still be able to take care of business, still make amazing money.
So this has been a great conversation, because what I'm thinking about, I'm sure some people that may not have a business yet may have been watching this and saying, hey, this is great. But it may be some people with a business that still don't provide that level of freedom.
Yeah.
Because there are entrepreneurs that still don't make money and don't have freedom.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. That's true.
I ain't got no money and I got no freedom.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe it might be a business opportunity for somebody that's already doing something else to move sideways into a new industry that provides a new level of opportunity.
No, you're right. We actually get that a lot. So actually, I want to say probably 50% of our mentees are business owners, where
Wow.
like they either come from like a different business that like you said, just either doesn't provide like the same level of freedom, or might not have the same level of income that they want, or they just got tired of it and they got burnt out and they just don't want to do that field. But they said this seems like something more up their wheelhouse. There's nothing better than being able to take care of somebody in need, because it's such a feel good business. Like when you see like the reactions from the families, when you see how the kids are improving, like from their quality of life, when they have a nurse in the home to be able to help like assist them with these particular healthcare needs. Like we have kids that like, weren't able to really like, stand and use their legs properly, but then with range of motion exercises, with using their gait trainer, we have some kids that are now literally able to stand up, kind of have a little bit of mobility more than they had before. And it's just amazing seeing all that progress and seeing the change that you're making in their lives. Like this is a huge impact on families' lives and on the child's lives. So the thing, it's just such a feel-good business. So it's a win-win for everybody. You make really, really good money. You're able to help people who need assistance, and you're saving families who desperately need the help because they have to have it. Like I remember we used to have like some family members like, I don't think I need that service. Like, okay. Wait till we get you approved. Once they got approved, I was like, oh my God, I can't go 2 minutes without having my aide in the home. Like, where's my aide? Where's my aide? I was like, but you was the same person who said you didn't need the services. Now you mad because your aide didn't show up for work today. It happens all the time, but it helps improve on the quality of life just all the way around. So, I mean, it's literally a win-win-win situation.
I love it. If somebody's watching, they say, okay, I want to get more information about Brad. I want to get more information about, how he can help me get into this field and help me to build this business. How can they contact you and get a hold of you?
So our website is basically healthcaregameplan.com. So if they go to the healthcare game plan, they can basically send us a message through that, or they can come to our social media at brad.panther, and we have all the information I can just send to them via email that just goes over the whole entire process. And we make it real easy. So everything's lined out, itemized, and you're like, okay, is that simple? I'm like, yeah, you got to do a little bit of legwork in the beginning, but I mean, it's real easy, and we can get you approved in like 6 months. Like I said, about 6 months on average, we get people approved for their whole entire business. I'm talking about everything, like top to bottom, we're done in 6 months.
I love it. That reminds me, I think it's a mindset shift we need to make as a culture and a community, where I think we're programmed to think we, go a long time. We don't really want to put in the work up front. So we go a long time of not putting in nothing, but we never get to the freedom we want. Where instead I'm trying to change that mindset to, hey, you like you putting that work up front and then you can live how you want.
Yeah.
For the long run, right? And instead of like, what kind of society is telling us like, hey, work till you're 70, 80, and then you can enjoy the end. But then most people can't even enjoy the end when they get to the end, right?
No, they
It's
can't.
like literally just flipping that around, like get focused, like really get focused and locked in on what you're trying to do. I love how you said like, hey, like in the beginning, some stuff you won't have to do, right, to get it straight. Oh, I tell people like whenever somebody positions something as you don't have to do nothing, something don't sound right.
Because they don't realize like the effort that it actually took for you to get there. So a lot of people, they just see the success. So just like you're talking about, they're like, oh yeah, Lamar done made it. You know what I mean? He got his show, he doing his thing with his wife, everything else. But they don't realize everything that it took for you to finally get to that point. And I tell people all day, it was like, it took me, I'm 40 years old. It took me 40 years to become an overnight success.
I love it. I love it.
You know what I mean? I'm like, look, to you it looks like it happened overnight.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, God dang, it's 40 years.
Right.
Already, like crazy. But I mean, that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So I mean, we already know like pensions don't really exist like they did before. 401ks don't really exist like they were before. Like there's so many things that people used to rely on back before, just like Social Security. Like a lot of that stuff just doesn't exist the same way that it does today. So I mean, you still want to be able to have something that you can create for yourself based off of what you work for. And you can retire at any age. There doesn't have to be no requirement. You don't have to wait till you're 60 or 70. I could retire right now and be good. Like I have everything set up exactly the way I want to right now, where I could literally just retire and just be like, look, I'm done at 40. Like I don't have to do anything else. But I just like to work. I want to stay busy. I still want to do stuff. And you know how we are. When you're an entrepreneur, it's just one of those things where it's like, there's no cure for it.
Yeah.
There's no cure for entrepreneurship. When it's in you, it's just a gut feeling that just continues to propel you forward to just do more.
I love it.
And it just makes you want to do more because it's just fun. It's just something that you want to do.
So true.
So that's really all it is. But
so true. I love it, man. I told somebody last week, I said, if I wasn't doing this, I'd just be doing something else.
Yeah, exactly.
I like even though I could go or do anything and go off the grid, like I need that challenge. I need
Yeah.
something like this is my sport.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I need that competitive. And we're blessed to be in a sport where you can do that sport for like, it ain't like your body age out. Like as long as your mind is still sharp,
Yep.
you still play the game.
You can all day, all day. And I tell people too, don't worry about your circumstances as much either, because a lot of people go through different things in life and they weigh too much on specific circumstances and they allow that to predicate how their life goes, but that doesn't have to be your journey. You know what I mean? And can I share one quick story about that?
Go ahead.
This is about, all right, it's going to be about a specific person. So imagine this woman, right? And she's holding a newborn baby. And she's holding the baby, she's rocking the baby back and forth in her arms. All of a sudden, there's like a huge bang behind her. And she doesn't know where it came from. She just hears something pop off extremely loud. All of a sudden, there's blood dripping on the baby's forehead that's in her arms as she's rocking it. And she's trying to figure out what just happened. She puts the baby down, finds that there's a bullet hole that went straight through the middle of her shoulder,
Wow.
right where she was holding the baby, to where the bullet could have went through the baby's head, but just barely missed it by a few centimeters to go straight through her shoulder and down. The person who shot her when she turned around was her husband.
Wow.
She looked into her husband's eyes and was like, "Did you just try to kill me and your daughter?" That baby was my wife.
Wow.
That was Tronda.
Wow.
And the reason why I share that story too is because there's a lot of people who go through these crazy experiences, and her mom is one of the strongest people I know. Never, ever once felt sorry for herself or felt bad about the different situations that happened between, and there's a lot of stories I could go into that are insane, but never once made that story her life. Never said that this is what I am. I'm a victim of someone who almost got murdered and almost lost my baby. Like, I'm a person who's going to be stronger and be able to persevere from this particular situation. And even trying to growing up, like I said, when you interview her, been homeless 3 times. Like literally had to wash up in the back of a U-Haul, literally, had to go to school from like a homeless shelter, like graduated from a homeless shelter while she was in high school. Like her story is insane. Still became a multi-million-dollar company business owner with some of the worst circumstances, with the worst cards you could ever get dealt in life. And she still was able to do it. And so the thing is, she never let her circumstance be a predication of who she was, because she already knew for a fact that she was going to be successful. She was going to make it. She was going to be able to create her own journey out of what she wanted it to be, not what everybody else told her to be, because people will try to guilt you based off of your circumstances and try to get you to feel sorry for yourself because they want you to feel the way that they feel. But you can't do that. You can't lose sight of who you are, because it's your journey. It's your mission. You walk in those shoes and you want to be the person who overcomes those challenges, because it's about what you know you're going to succeed in. So you're going to see it's going to get crazy. Sorry for getting real deep.
All right, good people. Listen, you heard it. Make sure you go to the website, get information, connect with Brad. And again, right, take the shortcut. Like if you're trying to figure out how can I be successful, you follow people that already have success so that you don't have to spend all the years they did in figuring out the process. Get the shortcut to the process, get what you need so you can hit the next level. And I love, right, I want you to lock in on what he said about manifesting the life that you want to have and putting into place the things that you want to, see in your own life. So many nuggets here. But don't forget, you got it on the Traffic Sales and Profit Show. And make sure you check us out on the next episode. Can't even get it out. Today's episode was so good. Make sure you check us out on the next episode. We come back with more dynamic guests just for you to take you to the next level in your growth, your business, and your wealth. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We drop new episodes every single week. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Enjoy the next episode.